And this, now on to intercontinental ballistic missiles, the third major area of my career. A couple of slides here and we'll be done. And like I say, I'll come back and talk about one of these in greater depth over 3 Saturdays in the future. So, intercontinental ballistic missiles. I mentioned before we started talking that there's such a thing as a triad. Bombers can carry nuclear weapons. The Navy has submarines that can launch missiles. You've probably seen it in the movies. And ICBMs. And this is sort of a very, very, very kindergarten level of deterrent strategy. Bombers can send a message because you can pull them out, you can launch them, you can recall them. ICBMs are targets because everybody knows where they're at and they can aim their missiles at us. And you know, if you were to sustain attacks in your ICBM force, you right away figure out you're at war with somebody and you know who they are. So that's a nice feature. Hopefully we'll never use. And then if they were to try to take out our targets, which by the way, they can't take out every missile because they're hardened, and they can't take out every bomber because some of them will take off. But even if they wiped out all these, there would still be enough nuclear weapons on these submarines that they would not start the attack to begin with. It would just be an unacceptable price for the country. That's the doctrine of deterrence. And you've probably seen it in movies. Anybody name that movie? It's a Mexican standoff. He holds a gun to his head, he holds a gun to your head. Hopefully everybody walks away. This is where all of the missiles were once located. Now they're just at Malmstrom, Minot, and Warren. There it is. Because we've been steadily decreasing. Let's see, do I have that chart in here? Yeah, there. I went forward a little bit. We've been steadily decreasing the number of nuclear weapons. As a national policy, we'd really like to get rid of them. And it's really sort of throwing a wrench in our plans that the Chinese and Russians keep building more. But let me go back up and talk about what I intended to talk about. So this is the launch facilities and the launch control facilities. If you ever see the movies where somebody goes into a ranch house out in the middle of a snow-covered prairie, they go down an elevator into a command capsule, that part of the movie is true. This is the ranch house. That's the tunnel. It goes down to where the combat crew sits. And the folks up here provide support services like meals and things like that. You have maintenance crews that go out to work on these launch facilities. If they can't get home in time, they can always come to one of these facilities and get a meal and get a bunk for the night. And these are all spread across the plains, miles apart. They took a hint from the Pearl Harbor attack, where we had parked all of our airplanes right next to each other, and the Japanese wiped them all out because they were really easy to get all of them at once. Now we tend to spread out our weapons so that they're harder to take out. Plus, all of these launch facilities and launch control facilities are hardened against nuclear weapons. And this is the current missile, the Minuteman III, first deployed in 1972, is our only intercontinental ballistic missile that we currently have. There's discussions going on now about what the replacement might look like. My expectation is it's going to look like this because they're just going to do what we've been doing for the last several decades and update the guidance system and re-pour the motors and just make little tweaks here and there. They're not going to try to come up with billions of dollars of program because they don't have the money. This is what throwing a ballistic missile looks like. It flies up in a ballistic arc, just like a basketball. And I gave this as sort of a, to show you the relative size, like I was showing you relative size on the IUS. This is the International Space Station. So it's only up there about 200 miles. It's pretty close to the Earth. When you're throwing something ballistically over to the other side of the world, it's going to go up above that level. And you know, it's basically like a mortar or a howitzer. The ballistics are well known.